Hello, 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 and hello, anxiety, my old friend. I have something to share today, and I wanted to hop on live. And this is a conversation about overwhelm and anxiety. And what I've observed is anxiety, my old friend. Uh, Anxiety comes in like a lion and attempts to cripple me with its ways. And anxiety is always the same, yet I am not. And in the past, anxiety has sucked me into its tails and its woes, but today I am able to stand much stronger and confident in the face of worry and fear, knowing that I am resourced and that I am far more powerful. So today I wanted just to hop on and share some reflections about, first of all, why people are so overwhelmed all the fucking time, and how, if you are one of those people, you can find some actual real reprieve. So first, I would love to invite you to join me in just preparing for this short discussion because I want you to get the very, very most out of it by taking a seat if you can, and by just taking one big, deep breath in, just really suck in as much as you can and then let it go as slowly as possible. Allow your body to relax and release as you exhale, settling in for this short conversation. Now, one thing about overwhelmed and anxious people is that they so fucking often forget to breathe. Have you ever noticed how when you're feeling super overwhelmed and super anxious, you tend to hold your breath, right? So one way to release the tension in your physical body, and this is amongst many options, there are lots of ways to accomplish this, but one way is conscious breath, just as we finished doing together. Now, I'll invite you, if you're not quite feeling, there yet, to go ahead and repeat this deep intentional breathing until you feel the shift within yourself. Now that you're not feeling nearly quite as overwhelmed and perhaps hopefully in a slightly better physical, emotional, and mental state to absorb new information and create some new habits, I want to talk about why everyone is so fucking overwhelmed and how we can find some reprieve in this day and age. And yes, Crystal, shoulders are up. That tension, right? We really just, we get all tight. And so we forget to breathe, we hold everything in, and we're not flowing in the way that we should. So often, just taking a couple of deep breaths can really bring us into a more centered space. So here's what I'm seeing as a big part of the problem. Number one, technology has advanced so quickly over the last, say, 50 years or so, that it's actually outpaced our brain's ability to function. So like, look at example of an AI, right? It can both process and create much faster than we can, and it can produce so much more volume than we are capable of. And so this is why people are wanting to clone themselves with AI, because it's just that much more efficient. Now, I'm not saying this is good or bad. It's probably a bit of both, right? And the point isn't about the AI. The point I want to really get to here is that there is just so much information available, right? There's so much information available today, and we are not able to consciously take it all in. Now, this has always sort of, been the case for a long time anyways, but just with the world of technology that we live in, there is just so much more available, and it's coming that much faster, and our attention spans are that much smaller. Thank you, TikTok, for the 7-second attention span, right? But I want to share today how this really works, because our brain filter, our reticular activating system, is hella efficient. Okay. It seamlessly connects us with more of what we want to see. So it takes all of that information and it streamlines it. Now, if we aren't intentional, we can run into issues, because this streamlining process sometimes isn't what we actually want to focus on. And if we didn't have this streamlining process, our brains probably would literally explode with information overload. So the problem here, the biggest problem typically, is that we sometimes get stuck focusing on the things that we don't want. And as a result of focusing on that, we end up seeing more of what we don't want. And I will say as well that it really helps us to focus on what we do want. It's crucial. If we want to experience something different, it's crucial to set our intention upon and seek out that which we do want. It also serves us well to be, prepared for obstacles that we are likely to face along the way. And I want to clarify here, this isn't about worrying about or overwhelming ourselves or, stressing about the uncertainty. Rather, I'm referring here to knowing what to expect from ourselves that will allow us to better prepare and build habits ahead of time so that we can better navigate this when we're in those moments. When we slow down and we observe our natural responses to things, rather than resisting them, rather than hiding away from them, rather than shooting on ourselves or shaming ourselves or even just avoiding altogether, we can gather a ton of super, super useful information by looking at what's going on within ourselves. And so often we humans can end up in a loop of anxious thoughts and emotions. It's like a hamster wheel where we don't feel like we can change anything. And so we keep moving forward, surviving, but certainly not thriving. And if you've noticed this phenomenon, you're already ahead of the game because awareness of your patterns is actually the first step to changing them. And I'd like to further explain a little bit why this happens, because I believe that having that additional knowledge and information will arm you with the skills and potentially perspectives that will help you to make a change for the better, if that's what you're deserving and desiring. So hello, peace and joy. You deserve to be thriving. Here's the deal though. When we get overwhelmed, our body goes into survival mode. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And when this happens, rational and logical thinking goes right out the window. We don't got time for that. We have surviving to worry about. Now, most of the time, we're not actually in any real danger, right? And I'd argue if you have time to sit here and watch this live with me right now or on the replay, let me know if you are. Say hi. Let me know you're watching a replay. But if you have this time to watch this short live, you are, in fact, currently at least in a relatively safe state, arguably. There are no bears chasing you if you have the time to watch this live. Yet, unresolved trauma and unintentional living can have us functioning as though we are fighting for our damn lives every single day. This results in mental, physical, and emotional health concerns, unhealthy habits and patterns, and all kinds of unnecessary suffering results. Now, here is the science behind why this overwhelmed state can have us feeling so hopeless as fuck. Because when we're in survival mode, our brain even becomes foggy. We start to work on autopilot. It's great for efficiency, not great for, creating the life that we truly want. And now this fog that comes up actually blocks us from seeing all of the potential choices, all of the clear solutions that might be available. Our brain in this state has one singular focus, and that is do not die. Now, as we mentioned, you're not likely to die. So this is most often unfounded. And if you are in a situation where that is a clear risk, then that's a whole different scenario, and you should be focused on not dying. But often this can be a potentially extreme response to the day-to-day general overwhelm that most of us are experiencing on the regular. And this is why I believe so many people feel stuck. This highly efficient internal safety mechanism is, in a way, doing us dirty by shutting down the rational and logical part of our brain when we fucking seemingly need it the most. Now, this adaptation to the human body is still sort of in process of evolving. And that original animal instinct, that fight or flight response, can still be running the show if we're not intentional about shifting it. So when you're stuck, it can feel like you have no choices. It can be so easy to get sucked into the spiral of overwhelm and overthinking. Hello, anxiety. But if you want to get unstuck, there is a way. It just takes a little bit of intentional choice and effort. And most often that is more beneficial when you do that effort outside of the moments of flight or fight so that you can build new autopilot responses that are actually far more helpful, right? It's like shaping your own evolution. Enter conscious creation. And this ability to stand in your power to choose, free will, if you will, is ultimately a superpower that you have as a human, and everybody has this capacity within them. So I want to invite you to consider that if you're not yet exercising this incredible power to create your life by design, to first of all, check out my book, Unstuck for Women, to discover how the spiral stopper method that I shared within its pages might help you to stop feeling so fucking overwhelmed and stuck all the time, and to start creating the healthy and happy life and relationships that you truly deserve, and the ones that you ultimately do desire, the things that you really truly do want. And ultimately, the spiral stopper is about building a toolbox of resources that you practice regularly until they are like a second nature, calling upon those in those autopilot moments of need. I mean, talk about a freaking power up. Am I right? So I also invite you to reach out because often just a new perspective, an outside viewpoint can really help shift things. And not to toot my own horn, but toot toot, I have a knack for seeing in others what often they can't see within themselves. And this helps you to gain a new awareness, a new understanding, and arms you with additional resources so that you can move forward in a way that serves your highest and best. Now, as always, I love you. But let's go do some epic shit, shall we?